You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And from the border of liberty and prosperity in the highway of New York, this is Safety Wars for Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. Well, we're getting close to the end of the year, huh? How's everybody doing? It looks like it's going to be one of those nights where I'm thirsty. I don't know. If you're on the video, you're going to see me drinking a lot. I assure you, it's only water. Lots gone on in the last 24 hours. A lot of exciting things going on there. So, let's try this again. Forgive me there. I had to put a little disclaimer. Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show. Okay, great. I got a complaint from someone. people love to complain. You didn't have your disclaimer on, Jim. You didn't have that on. You're going to get into trouble. Okay, great. Well, if I'm going to get into trouble, it's probably going to be because of you complaining. But anyway, I say that in jest. Okay. What's going on? I'm checking out all the news stuff here. Pull up our usual news websites. Here we have masks and social distancing return to China. We knew this was going to happen. Europe on alert. I tell you what, there are some states that are encouraging their citizens to go back. That's in the United States, to go back and start doing all the masks, social distancing, things of that nature. I don't see that happening with companies yet, unless you're in like the health field or something. But this is from the UK edition of The Sun. China has brought back masks and social distancing in a chilling echo of lockdown as they battle a mystery pneumonia outbreak 4 years on from COVID. Alarming footage has emerged of mask-wearing crowds inside Chinese hospitals as fears of a new pandemic sweep the globe. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Areas in the north of the country, such as Beijing and Liaoning, have been hit the hardest, with reports emerging last week that hospitals are being overwhelmed with sick children. Pardon me. A common bacterial infection called Mycoplasma pneumoniae has circulated since May, but is now showing ground glass opacity and lung scans, an indication of severe respiratory illness. Also known as white lung syndrome, many parents are deeply worried and are having to wait at least a day just for emergency care. But China continues to insist that flu and the usual winter bugs are to blame for the latest outbreak rather than a new virus, and can cope with spikes in illnesses. Alrighty then. What's going on here in Europe with their reaction? Here. Okay. We just got an upgrade in internet access here, and it's slow. Very frustrating. All right. So here we go in, this is from the Express.co.uk. Fresh epidemic fears as child pneumonia cases surge in Europe after a China outbreak. So this is essentially, we're seeing, seems like a pattern here. Hospitals in China have reportedly been overrun with pneumonia cases, and as an uptick is recorded in the Netherlands. Cases of pneumonia in children are rising in Europe as the second country reports an uptick in the deadly respiratory disease. The Netherlands Institute for Health Services Research, NIVEL, has reported that 80 out of every 100,000 children in the country between the ages of 5 and 14 came down with pneumonia last week. So here we go again. I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of this on the news, the regular mainstream news, that we're, no, there's no, and the president is quoted as saying, there is no threat to the supply chain. Nothing to see here, nothing to worry about, along those lines. Right? But, and they're trying to reassure people and everything. I get it, because you don't want to have people have a rush on, rush on different things, right? On toilet paper, on everything else. Now, my question to you is this, and this is what the question has to be for everybody here. Now that we have this coming up, how are you going to go out and prepare for the next thing here? What did you learn? And I said to everybody when we started this podcast way back in 2021, to record the lessons learned for posterity. I was thinking along the lines of, well, then we're not going to have this is going to resolve itself. This is going to be taken care of next generation or two or something like that. Nothing to really worry about. And turns out, here we are, going into 2024 and more of this stuff just in time for the election, right? Just in time for the election coming up. Yes, I'm getting a little bit conspiratorial because, as we know, there was some, I don't want to dismiss it out of hand, but there was a little bit of a pandemic here with this where, hearkening back to the immortal words of Rahm Emanuel, you need to take advantage of these things, right? You're going to be able to do things that you wouldn't normally do with this, and that's, I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said. And no, I am not making hand motions in front of the camera. I'm just talking with my hands. This is the way I normally talk. But anyway, what did you learn? This is what I learned. You got to look out, again, starting with your family, starting with your community, your sphere of influence, your friends and everything. Don't be concerned about them. If you have people at risk and they want you to wear a mask, wear the damn mask. Well, and we'll go into another program with that in the near future if this continues to accelerate with this. No, we'll get there. We survived already. Now, what I came across, let's see if I have this here. Now, one of the things that we do discuss here is something very uncomfortable for a lot of people here, and I understand it's uncomfortable for a lot of people to discuss this, and that is demography. Now, this is from the LA Times. The author is Max Kim. This was yesterday. Korea's army of senior citizens are ready for battle. I don't remember the rifles being so heavy. Dressed in borrowed camouflage fatigues, they fumbled with their ammunition belts and K2 assault rifles. Some had white hair and a slow, shuffling gait. Their average age was 63, with the oldest being 75. It was the most unconventional batch of trainees that the 52nd Infantry Division's Cho Reserve Forces Training Center had ever seen, and Lieutenant Colonel Hwang Hyan-dan-suk received them with a strained smile, desperately hoping that none of them would get hurt. I could not sleep all night, Hwang told one of them with a nervous laugh. Your enthusiasm worries me. His concern was met with good-natured chuckles with no reassurances. Excluding the two women in the group, most of these retirees or near retirees had undergone South Korea's compulsory military service in their youth, but the decades of rust were showing. Now, going on here, they're totally go on and they discuss the men and women here, but it also and it's about 500 people doing this, but it also has more profound meaning. The club that they have, right, and their group as a solution to the effects of South Korea's dismal fertility rate, which has the lowest in the world, has spurred fears the military will soon struggle to fill its ranks. We talk about demography here and low birth rates. Now, I'm not going to go and get into this whole thing. No, abortion, pro-life, birth control, no birth control, blah, blah, blah. Whatever your position is, okay. That's your position. However, we have to deal with some of the facts here with this. All right? And that is demography. We're going to have demographic changes, which are going to necessitate changes through our economies and everything else. And I don't think that was really thought out to begin with, number one. And number two, I don't think it's being thought out by a lot of people who are except in some back room or back basement in Washington and here on Safety Wars. What's going to happen? Because when you start to lose key age groups in society, those spending money, you're going to have an economy going back. Your GDP is not going to either rise as quickly, number one, and number two is you're not going to have the right people where you need them to be in the age range to take care of this. Remember, to take care of things. Remember, Social Security was based on a lot of people supporting one retiree. This way, not too many people put into the thing to support retirees. Now it's all screwed up with the population pyramid. I think I explained that right. But basically, what we're getting is that there's not enough people paying into Social Security to support the system, and it's collapsing here. We used to get statements way back in the early 90s until we never got them anymore. When things got really bad, it's saying that we're not going to be able to fund it. But anyway, I digress. What we're coming down to here is this: the demographic shifts. Something else that's also impacting our demography are people, young people, 20s and 30s, and the fentanyl problem. Whole communities, right? And I don't even think we've seen the effects of this long lasting. Whole communities getting wiped out, whole age groups over this thing. Not a good thing. So again, what are we going to do about it? How are you preparing for it? How are you preparing financially for it? How are you preparing your organization for this? Because I tell you what, we're not a lot of the Gen Xers out there. So what are they having to do? Baby boomers are hanging on to their jobs to do managing, and people who would normally wait until maybe their 40s or late 30s to get certain upper level positions, now it's gotten down. That's what I'm seeing in the organizations that I'm doing, where you have younger people with more responsibility, maybe not as much experience, life experiences, or anything else. That could be a problem. What are you doing about it? That too is part of safety. I share with the story a lot of times that this is what we have to deal with, and I called this over 20 years ago, where I was working for an organization with a lot of younger people in there supervising work, safety work. And some of the old timers, or now that we're old timers, but people our age, were like, hey, now we're going to say early 30s, we noticed a change because a lot of the folks were not, a lot of the folks had a different way about them doing things, different experiences, some of them valuable, right? Some of them not applicable to the job at hand, but different experiences. And I explain it this way. When you were growing up, child of the 70s, no, Gen Xers, 65 to 80, right? When we were growing up, we wanted to paint a room, or we wanted to do something around the house. You're in middle income family and lower. What happened? You wanted to paint your bedroom. You either had a parent, trusted adult, sibling that showed you how to paint, right? And you went in there and you painted and you work on the house, because a lot of people owned the houses then, weren't renting, what have you, and you painted the house, and they showed you how to paint, showed you how to spackle, surface prep, and everything else, right? What happened was, today's generation, that's not necessarily their experience with that. They have experiences with, right? What are they having with? Computers, keyboards, different things, coding, right? Where we're getting that in schools now. Totally different thing. These folks are a little bit more affluent, and guess what they did when they said to their parents, hey, I want my room painted. Parents are going to hire a contractor. That's what I started seeing about 20 years ago. Or that didn't even, or you tell your landlord or your person, whoever you're renting from, hey, we need things done. You don't do things like that. And when I grew up, everybody wanted to cut grass. That's how you made extra money. Now, in the same community I grew up with, very few people cut their own grass. They hire a landscaper to go out there. They hire someone to cut the grass. They don't do it themselves. The children in the neighborhood don't do it, for a whole host of reasons, safety reasons, and some other stuff. So this is a different thing. And that's a societal change. And how's your organization managing that? What I always say, and I had a conversation with a client today on this, and what basically happened was the client said, Jim, we like working with your group of people. with you and your group of people. I said, well, I appreciate that, we want to continue working with you. He says, no, you don't understand. We have other safety contractors out here, and what's their focus? Their focus is compliance. They're compliance focused. Okay, well, that's all well and good to be compliance focused. I get it, right? That's what we do. We are compliance focused. And he said, you try to work with people. I said, well, yeah, that's how we train people. We train our people to try to learn the job of the people that we're working with. And he says, well, how exactly do you folks do this? Now, why? I said, look, I'm not a carpenter. Not a carpenter at all. And what I do is I try to ask the carpenter here some questions on how they do their job. And I asked some really novice questions. I went up to him. We had this one person on site. I said, look, I'm not a carpenter. I don't know a lot about what you do for a living. I know, yeah, you nail it, you do this and this. But let me ask you about the finer points of carpentry. Why are you using this? What kind of wood do you use? Blah, blah, blah. What do you look for? What are you trying to do? Blah, blah. And now, at this point, we have formed a learning team. Right, Fred Sutton? And you start to talk with the person. Hey, this is how you do it. Or, hey, this is how I would do. Why am I wrong on that? Or maybe that's a better way. And no, I came up through the environmental field. Okay, now I'm going to talk, with the folks. Hey, when we used to do this type of job, doing the cleaning, this is how we did it. How are you guys doing this? Or blah, blah, blah. And you start to get a conversation going. You have a better conversation. That's how you correct these things. Start with better conversations. Start learning what the people are doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and everything else. At this point, then you become a collaborator with these folks. You start to go out and you start to be a colleague with these folks. And guess what? Your compliance is going to be better. Why? Because they're not doing something because the safety guy tells them to do something. They're doing something because Jim asked them to do it. And then I say, now you built up a rapport with people. With that. And then, guess what happens? Then now they start to say, hey, Jim, how do you do your job? What's involved in your job? Why are you doing it this way? Now they're more likely to ask you questions. And guess what? They're better. They're going to work better safely. Maybe they don't agree with you, but maybe you come to some type of an understanding. And with these conversations and everything, people take pride in their work. Give them that opportunity to take pride in their work, and you're going to be a much better safety professional on that. I'm going to go to a brief commercial break here, and we're going to be right back. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
Okay, we're going to move to our regular OSHA news. May get into some of the EPA news. We'll see how this goes. This is from a press release from the Department of Labor today. OSHA, National Commission for the Certification of Crane Operators, NCCCO, Foundation Forum, and Alliance to Protect Crane Operators. Now, if we recall, there was, especially in the New York area, we covered this story earlier this year, there's a lot of fraud with these crane operator certifications out there. So if you have a crane operator on site, it may behoove you to go out and double check the certifications on that person or persons, because what happens is you have screwed up things that happen, really, with people falsifying things with this. So U.S. Department of Labor's OSHA signed an agreement with the National Commission for the Certification of Crane Operators, and the NCCCO, Foundation to Protect Workers Who Operate Cranes Better. The 2-year agreement will provide certified crane operators with training and resources to reduce and prevent exposure to the 4 construction workplace issues that contribute to the majority of hazards in the industry: falls, caught in or between objects, machinery, struck by objects, and electrocution. So if you know, those are the OSHA Focus 4 from construction. Workers who operate or work near cranes can face serious and potentially life-threatening hazards if they are not properly trained or protected, said Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health, Doug Parker. Our alliance with these industry leaders focuses on training workers and working with employers to make safety and health a core value by implementing best industry practices to ensure workers' safety. Alliance participants will use data and review trends and the incident information to develop safety alerts for employers, crane operators, and others working around cranes. They will also address safety issues near the crane load, provide updates on OSHA's load handling regulation, and enforce including certification and evaluation requirements. Participants will also assist employers and operators in complying with OSHA regulations and develop relationships between the CCO test sites and bear with me here. I am not sure whether I am broadcasting here. All right. Boom. All right. Going on. Right. But basically, that's what's going on there. Partnerships here. I'm going to go. We're getting a whole bunch of stuff here. People saying you're not on. Where are you? Blah, blah, blah. Let me see what's going on here with the live stream. I'm going to go to...
Have you listened or watched the Safety War Show? It does stream live on the radio and on the streamer-emers that we have. So if you have not taken a listen to Jim Posel and what the hell he's doing every evening with Safety Wars, I would strongly encourage you to take a view or take a listen, whichever option is available for you, and take a listen to what the hell he has going on. It will take some deep dives in some information that you might be interested in.
In a world where danger lurks in every corner, one man stands as a beacon of hope. Jim Posel, a veteran safety expert with over 3 decades of experience, now bringing his knowledge to you with Safety Wars. Engaging, informative, and always relevant, that's Safety Wars. Join a safety revolution with Safety Wars, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos.
Okay, and... OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy.
Okay, so we are on. Okay. So that was George texting me, I can't hear you. Well, I can hear me, so we'll go with that. Sorry, guys, this is what it is. Live radio and you don't have an engineer. U.S. Department of Labor, Major Construction Incorporated, to promote safety during construction of Clayton County's Forest Park Middle School. Partnership will assist development and use of best practices to protect workers. U.S. Department of Labor's OSHA. This is the participants. Okay. And Department's Occupational Safety and Health Administration, Major Construction Incorporated, signed a strategic partnership to promote safety and health practices to help in preventing worker injuries, reducing exposure to hazards during construction of the Forest Park Middle School in Clayton County, Georgia. I tell you what, this must be one hell of a big job for this to make national coverage here on the DOL website. And what are they doing? Now, this is, again, what we could talk about here. Now you can learn a little bit about reading this stuff. And what am I going to point out? If they're putting it in a press release that they're going to be working on this stuff with the company, that's probably a good idea that other companies in the area, and maybe nationally, depending on what industry it is, if it's a focused industry, one of their focuses, right? That this is probably what OSHA is going to be looking for. I'm just going to put it out there, right? So, what are they doing? They're developing and implementing safety and health programs to provide safety and health training to employees, employers, and supervisors to reduce the number of injuries and illnesses, increase safety and health training, reduce the overexposure of workers to health and safety hazards, and increase the number of employers with comprehensive safety and health management systems. Participants will focus on using PPE. Again, this is their priority, so pay attention. PPE. That's one of the top 10 most cited OSHA violations. Preventing a heat illness. There's a focus on heat illness the last couple of years. Recognize and avoiding hazards related to falls. Okay. Struck by and caught in between. That's 2. Electrical equipment safety. Right. So you have 2 of the focus 4 there. The falls, struck by, and caught. No, I'm sorry. You got them all. 4 of them. Right, falls, struck by, and caught in between, and using electrical equipment safety. You have electrocutions. All right, so those are the focus 4. Heat illness, for PPE, preventing and protecting against fire, using hand and power tools safely, and avoiding hazards related to silica and noise exposure. Now, this is actually a pretty nice sized building here. 212,000 square foot building and 16,000 square foot gym, as well as a football field and track and field complex. So this is a huge thing. This is, sounds like my son's middle school. I mean, that middle school, it feeds like 6 or 7 elementary schools into a middle school and then divides them up into 2 high schools. So it's that middle school in my town is like bigger than most high schools. So anyway, what do we have here, right? So let's talk about this a little bit. We understand the focus for heat illness. We've mentioned that from time immemorial. PPE. How about fire? Now, I had fairly recently, I call it the online outreach training, and New York DOB strike again. I mean, we should have that as a segment here. So I'm on a project north of New York City, and they said, "Oh, yeah, we're all Department of Buildings trained, Jim. We're good. We got you a 30-hour course." And then it turns out that you do something happens, you do a little investigating, and they likely had it online and paid someone else to do it, or they bought the certificates on the street, and that's been. You can read that in the news all the time, right, around here and stuff. I mean, it's committing a felony. I had people asking me to do that all the time. I don't take the bait. But anyway, I was just handing out OSHA cards. But essentially, we had a situation, and a guy is going to refuel a trash pump. Trash pump runs on gasoline, and they call it trash pump because it's like I believe a 2 or 3 inch hose, depending on the configuration, there, and it's for pumping out big basins and things of that nature. Anyway, what we and I said, dude, what are you doing? It's running. Stop. What? I refill it all the time when you're not here. Well, turn it off. Don't refill running equipment. Bad idea. Oh, come on. And then I'm looking, and out of the corner of the eye, I said, that gas can. I said, I said, let me see that gas can. What, Jim? It's a metal gas can, spring-loaded. It's okay. I look in it, and it's missing. What's it missing? The flash arrestor, meaning the little screen on there. And this is presumably regular, right, meets OSHA requirements and everything else with that. And I said, with that can, and I said, dude, you can't use that. He said, well, what do you mean you can't use it? It's I said, you don't have a flash arrestor. A flash what? Now you're talking crazy, Jim. That's a flash suppressor. What are you talking about? I said, dude, You got that little screen on there. You know what that's for? That's for filtering the fuel. I said, okay, first of all, if your dispenser is putting out big, huge particles with that thing, you got bigger issues than this, right? You have other issues. I said, this is what happens. You're fueling it. You're not supposed to fuel things with it on. And you start fueling it. It catches fire. The gasoline catches fire, goes back into the container, and now you have a big problem, right? That flash suppressor on there, flash arrestor, prevents everything from going back into the container. Oh, really? Nobody ever told me that. I said, well, it was supposed to be in, like, your 30-hour outreach course. Oh, I took it online. Okay, so I make a couple of phone calls. Hey, did you guys take this course here from people that, oh, yeah, we took that. I'm not going to mention the name of the training provider. And did they mention anything about flash suppressors or flame arrestors? Well, whatever you want to call them. Different people call them different things. No, never heard of it. Okay, thank you very much. So, I don't know. This is what part of the problem is. And then they half believe you. And I said, I did a little bit of research. They have that on cars also now. It's not like back in the 70s and you see these gangster movies where someone throws a rag in the gas tank and they light it on fire and the car blows up. That they have that in there to prevent that from happening. But anyway, I digress. What's the moral of the story? The moral of the freaking story is this. If you can, get all of the training in person. And if you really want, give us a call here, 845-269-5772 or jim@safetywars.com, and I'll hook you up with a course. I go all over the place. I'm going down on the road next week giving training. So, U.S. Department of Labor renews a regional program on a high-level workplace noise to prevent mid-Atlantic workers from permanent hearing loss. Here's another one. Here. People, what the freaking, I'm going to wear my noise-canceling headphones and that's going to be fine. You know they're not rated for anything. Oh, no, but that's okay. I'll wear them. I'm going to cover up one noise with another noise, and before you know it, they're delivering like the equivalent of 110 decibels. I mean, you're hearing, if your workplace allows people to hear music, they're not on the Safety FM network. Listen to all of our great shows here. They're listening to all different kinds of stuff in there. Some of it, I'm not even allowed to discuss on the radio because I'm going to get thrown off, right? Sort of thing, right? By the censors. But U.S. Department of Labor announced today that it has renewed a regional emphasis program to focus inspections on 3 mid-Atlantic states and the District of Columbia on industries with high levels of workplace noise, which can contribute to worker hearing loss. Common workplace health concern, hearing loss can be permanent and debilitating. In fact, potential hearing loss is a hazard for about 22 million U.S. workers, according to NIOSH. In 2021, the Bureau of Labor Statistics found about 12,000 workers suffered work-related hearing loss, with 9,700 of them being workers employed in the manufacturing industry. Noise control is the first line of prevention against permanent work-related hearing loss. By reducing noise levels even by a few decibels, employers can better protect employees, improve communication, and stop excessive noise from distracting workers. So it's really important here, your hearing. Extremely important. You don't want to lose it. I don't know what to say here. My kids at home, I can't control them what goes on in school because they have to wear headphones. But at home, they do not wear headphones. They will not even wear earbuds. They will not wear headphones. They will not do anything like that because they know that. Not in front of me. The other thing is this. This time of year, you got those bell ringers outside certain places. And I have one of the regional headquarters for that organization is in my town. And a lot of people in our neighborhood work there. Great organization. They're out there ringing those bells. And I made a joke with this person about that. We should have earplugs for bell ringer campaign. And she said, no, Jim, no joke. they actually have a hearing conservation program with those bell ringers. I said, yeah, I said, no, I go there with the thing, with the software on the smartphone, and I, measure it, and it's like hot loud. And yeah, they're not allowed, they have to, when they ring those bells, they got to be down around their side. They can't ring the bells up here because of hearing damage. I said, oh, wow. They have to use approved bells and everything. So, it's, you can't be out there with like my father's camel bells, right, that he used to have on the back of a door. But anyway, I'm back in the front door, and you open up the front door, and you get blasted by camel bells, right? Loud and obnoxious. Federal court orders Detroit business owner imprisoned until she complies with the U.S. Department of Labor subpoena to provide documents. A federal court order has ordered the owner of a Michigan senior home care services company be imprisoned if she continues to ignore a March 2023 federal order to provide the U.S. Department of Labor investigators with time, pay records, despite being in contempt of court since September 27, 2023, and assessed $250 for each day she refused to comply. Basically, she is, I don't know. They feel that, and I got this recently too from another client, a new client, heard us on this show. Hey, Jim, it's OSHA. It's the Department of Labor. What are they going to do to you? Well, they're going to do a lot to you if you don't comply to them. They are federal officers, federal agents. You have the same rights as dealing with a police officer, but you also have the same responsibilities. You cannot lie to a police officer. You cannot lie to OSHA. Right? You cannot lie to these people. You cannot lie to a federal agency. It's a really bad thing. And when they ask you for documents, produce the documents. I'm not saying don't go just give it everything. Get an attorney, get a qualified person that's used to dealing with regulatory agencies to deal with regulatory agencies. Because if you don't, right, again, you have one opportunity to go through this stuff. You don't want to be screwing up things, right? Get a qualified person in there. Here we have a story from Milan, Illinois. I guess ILL. Federal regulators have opened up an investigation into death at Deer Park's distribution center in Milan. Tony LeClaire, 55 of Davenport, was injured on October 20th in circumstances that are unclear. OSHA opened an investigation into the incident 5 days later. LeClaire died at an Iowa City hospital 18 days after being injured. So, basically, this is what goes on. But this is my experience, and, they got fined and everything else in the past, and with that. Okay, now, you're going to say, okay, let's unravel what's being said here. Now, you have certain requirements under the law for notifications for OSHA. If you have a person spend overnight in a hospital or they are, and I'm going to say this, legally admitted into the hospital, you got to make a phone call into OSHA within 24 hours. Bottom line, that's the way it is. Now, what happens is, often, you make the call into OSHA, they come in, and in my experience, right, and other people have other experience. My experience is within 2 to 3 days, they're there. So I have literally sat, in clients' offices, knowing OSHA is going to show up, and I've literally sat there for like 2 or 3 days waiting for them to show up. And then they show up, and we manage the situation. That happens. I was speaking to an attorney not too long ago at the ASSP event right up the corner from me here, and they had said the same thing where they know OSHA's coming. They sit somebody out there to meet OSHA, right, after 2 or 3 days. That's the way it is. So this is what happened here. It says, OSHA opened an investigation of the incident 5 days later. Well, fatality was 18 days after the things. They came in 5 days afterwards. Okay, that's actually to be expected. with that, so you got to play it safe. So what do? You give a company like mine, and we have 17 other Safety FM hosts here, give us a call. 845-269-5772 for us here, and we'll arrange someone to be there, meet with OSHA with you on that. And that's basically it. With that, that's what the idea is. With that, again, they're going to be doing things with that, doing an investigation. When they come, if they release results, we'll know. Now, here we have a report from ProPublica. Many deaths on small dairy farms are not investigated. ProPublica investigated OSHA's practices. Inconsistencies found in what OSHA calls temporary labor camps in Wisconsin. And this is a story by Mallory Cheng from WPR.org, Wisconsin Public Radio. So, since 2009, there have been at least 17 deaths among workers on Wisconsin's dairy farms. Nearly half of those were not investigated by OSHA. ProPublica reporter Melissa Sanchez has been reporting on safety in Wisconsin's dairy industry. So, this is from All Things Considered with this, and let's see what Melissa Sanchez says. To start, let's look at a recent case, and this is for the hosts, in March 2023, where a person drowned after he drove a skid steer into a 14-foot deep pond filled with gluvino on the dairy farm where he worked. While he was there after this tragedy, apparently no OSHA investigation. OSHA has been around, well, this is Melissa Sanchez, has been around since the 1970s, so basically right when it started, Congress put a special exemption into place that exempts small farms from inspections, and so farms with fewer than 11 workers and farms that don't have what's called a temporary labor camp do not get inspected by OSHA. So in this case, an OSHA inspector went out the morning after Florencio died, and turned around and left after less than an hour after discovering the farm only had 7 or 8 workers. So that's generally what happens on small farms. But we looked into this because of the temporary labor camp issue in housing. A little bit of trivia on that. Right? Exemptions on small farms. Exemptions for families. I mean, in York, Pennsylvania last year, a whole family got wiped out on a farm in 2 or 3 incidents out there. Small, again, what I find is often people that work in small companies that might hit some type of exemption or something like this, when they go to larger companies, then they have a problem because they want to run these larger companies like smaller companies. You can't do that. You can't do that because there are certain things. So, for example, that you have to do. For example, safety data sheets. Got to have safety data sheets and proper labeling. But they feel that, well, we didn't have that back on the farm, so therefore we don't have to do it with a 100-person organization or a 50-person project. And this is what happens with when they have policies like this. Probably should be, I don't know. For me, they change it, but it's not me running the show. But I can if you're president out there, new president, old president, hey, I'm available. And there are other people on this network available also that you know of. I know that you know of, right? Going on. OSHA fines Suwakima company $180,000 for repeated fall protection violations. This is we covered this yesterday. Different point of view here. Basically a company, I'm not going to mention the name of the company. They attended a training session on fall hazards. OSHA went out to their job site and found all different types of hazards, sent them a fine for $180,000 proposed. This is a local story here. New Jersey construction company pleads guilty to violations that led to a worker's death. This is from almost my hometown here. A construction company based in Old Bridge, New Jersey, has pleaded guilty to violating OSHA standards leading to the death of one of its employees. The plea by a certain roofing company was entered by the company's owner Monday before U.S. Magistrate Judge Jose R. Almonte in Newark Federal Court. Charges stem from an incident in 2019 when a roofing employee, including were replacing a home's roof in Haladon, New Jersey. That's local to me right here. Despite working at a height exceeding 20 feet, the employees lacked personal fall protection equipment, such as safety harnesses, lanyards, tie-off ropes, guardrails, or nets. No worker had, and this is actually a pretty well-written story here, no worker had received training on fall protection. One of the employees fell 22 feet, sustaining fatal head injuries, and the person had nothing. So, if the court accepts a plea agreement, Zona will face 5 years probation and be required. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mention the name of the company, and be required to pay $75,000 restitution. The company must also implement comprehensive training procedures for all employees and enhance safety provisions on future projects. The sentencing is scheduled for March of next year. And there, I don't know. It's, no. I don't really know what to say on here, other than what I'm annoyed about is, there's the company playing legal. Okay, great. The company is a person, according to the Supreme Court. Okay, I get it. All right, and it's also in the law. However, what I'm going to say is this. All right, the persons have to be held responsible at this point. Who's the competent person? Why isn't the competent person held responsible? New Jersey? Perhaps they need to do what New York does with that and have the competent person be responsible for this. For this stuff, criminally. Not only the company and also the owners of the company. The argument is why didn't they stop the workers from doing that, from doing this? Here we have a Connecticut CFO indicted, and this is all from the realdeal.com. That past story and this one we're going here now. Connecticut CFO indicted for allegedly $890,000 investment from a construction company. The former CFO of a Milford-based Indeco North America is facing federal charges for allegedly embezzling $890,000 from the company. A federal grand jury in New Haven indicted the person on 3 counts of wire fraud, according to the Hartford Business Journal. The person residing west pleaded not guilty during recent court appearance and is free on $500,000 bond. And I don't know. You gotta love it. So incredible. All right, what else we got here? This is from from Canada. One man is dead after suffering a significant fall at a condo building construction site in Chestermere over the weekend. Going on. The worker, an adult male, was taken by ground ambulance in serious, potential life-threatening condition to a Calgary hospital. The severity of his injuries had officials concerning airlifting the man, right? And but an air ambulance was not available. Now, this is what the importance of an emergency action plan is. You're going to say, well, why is that? What difference does that make? Okay. It's left of the bang versus right of the bang thinking, right? Left of the bang, you have to be prepared for everything you're going to try. That's where you apply the hierarchy of controls. That's where you apply everything really important there on the left of the bang, right? To prevent an accident. Once you get the bang and then the right of the bang, you got to worry about all the other stuff. Now, safety is what? Capacity and resilience. You add capacity, what you can do, and resilience, how you adapt to things. Now you have safety. Now, what it comes down to is this. Safety with emergency action plans, you have to know this is what we have to do if someone gets hurt. Now, you have to, right? This is what happens and everything else. You have to understand what the complications are if someone falls. What are you going to do? If your nearest hospital is a half an hour away, you're pretty much that worker is screwed. What's the response time? All of these things I mentioned because they reinforce the importance of preventing an accident. How many times do I go out to a job, right, and you're in the middle of nowhere? Well, what are you going to do? I'm going to call 911. I say, the response time for this area is 25 minutes. You have somebody dangling up there, and how are you going to get them down? Do you have a lift? Do you have this? Do you have all this stuff has got to be thought about prior to that, and Okay, let's see here. Is there anything else here I got? Okay. That's what's going on here. Were there anything else? Here, here we go. This is from Bloomberg. North Korea claims spy satellite took photos of the White House. North Korea claimed its first spy satellite put into space, which was launched into orbit last week, has taken photos of the White House, Pentagon, and nearby U.S. naval stations. The prominent U.S. sites add to a list of areas North Korea claims to have photographed using its reconnaissance probe that was launched on November 21st, and they have a whole big long list here. Again, I don't know. What are we doing here with this, right? And okay, that's what we got. We're gonna go and here's the last one. Last Sunday, did you realize that it was the Transportation Security Administration announced that it set an agency-wide record for the busiest air travel day ever last Sunday? Right, for the Thanksgiving holiday. Pretty impressive on that. Okay. We're going to close out the show here with our usual thing. And this worked before. Let's see if it'll work again. There, hold on. Sound. Okay.
The views and opinions podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
We're going to be playing the national anthem in honor of Rosalind Carter, who was, her funeral was today. Rest in peace.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.